Talk about this thing in the book. You talk about look for the intelligence behind a mistake. What do you mean by that? So I found that pretty cool.
Yeah. So the intelligence behind the mistake is essentially a teaching moment. Is that understand why it was made. Ultimately, it's you as the handler's fault for why mistakes are made, but understand why the dog made the mistake. And it could be, it's generally gonna be reduced down to lack of communication on your part, a confusion of expectations on the dog's part.
Same with humans. Same with humans. Both those. Same with humans.
Yeah. And then the last thing, which is probably one of the most imperative things, same with humans, is bringing emotion into the equation. Dogs are, while they have some simple emotions that mimic humans, they're nowhere near as complex. One of the jokes I start a lot of my speeches out with is, if you want to find out who loves you more, your spouse or your dog, lock both of them in the trunk of your car for 2 hours. After 2 hours, come pop the trunk. Who's happier to see you? And dog would be like, "Hey, buddy, where you been?" Your wife's going to slap the hell out of you. So. But they are that simple, and it's an Achilles heel of sorts. We were talking about it before we came on air. Is the iPhone? Yeah. That's really dogs are actually so simple that we as humans, because we're so much more complicated in how we think and emotionally charged and what have you, that we make them way more complicated and harder to train than they actually are. We need to oversimplify it, and to me, not to get too far off on a tangent, but it's kind of like world policy, foreign policy from an international standpoint, is that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best for the most complex problems. Foreign policy being a bar fight. If you're going to walk into that bar, you're going to get in a fight, and you better bring everything to bear to make sure that you're safe. But realize that by walking in there, no matter whose side you take, no matter what happens, you're going to create at least one enemy, probably several. So you better make damn sure that going into that bar is worth going into before you go into it. To me, that's a pretty simple solution. It's a simple way to look at the world's problems. We don't do that, we overcomplicate it, but it's that same mentality with a dog, though, is that, most times it's the most simple solution to what you think or perceive as the most complex problem, and it's really not that complicated. But
yeah.